Now we're moving into level 3 of chapter 2, and we're going to extend the analysis of the quality control on the skis. So on the left hand side here I have a whole bunch of skis, a lot more than normal that we've been going through in terms of the quality of the torsion and the friction. Alright, as we've been talking about. One of the first things I'm going to do right now is I'm going to fix the banner at the top so that it doesn't scroll with the rest of it. So I'm going on to A4 here, and we saw this in the last video. I'm going to freeze the pane right here to allow me to scroll as I am here, and I can still see what the top title is supposed to be. So what we're going to do here is we're going to figure out the cost of the inspection that's going on. You'll notice here that we have the friction running at 1 minute to do the friction test, and 1.5 minutes on the torsion. And you'll see that as we go through the various skis that the minutes of testing changes as we're going through it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to first of all calculate the cost of the inspection, and we're going to use a labor rate to figure that out. And then we're going to try and optimize and try and find out how we can keep the cost down as much as possible using an adaptation of the labor rate. And then we're going to go into the ski type here, which is a lot like what we did in the first two lessons, the first levels, in which we are taking the details from the previous worksheet, time, and we're putting it up here. Whereas before in level 1 we just looked at it and put down the quantities. Here we have the combination of level 1 and level 2, where we're bringing it onto the summary worksheet, and we're doing the number of skis tested for type A and the average. So we're going to use a thing called average if, and average if here. Alright, average if meaning if it's style A. So anyway, we'll get to that. And then the last thing is simulation. We're not going to do that in this chapter. This is pretty extensive, and we're not I don't see this ever being used in the real world, and so I'm not going to include this in the video. So back to time. Alright, let's figure out how much time and cost this person has spent, or these people have spent doing the friction test and the torsion test. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to add up the minutes and figure out that as a percentage of an hour. So C4 plus D4 is the addition of the minutes. Do we agree on that? Alright, so we added up the 2 minutes, and now we have to accumulate them together because we want to divide by 60 to give us a ratio of an hour. Alright, so there's the minutes added up. Divide that by 60, and that gives us hours. Alright, so just press enter, and we have 0.04 of an hour. Now, notice it says dollars right now, but that's just because that's the way it's formatted. And now I want to multiply that by a rate. Now the dollar value rate, or the labor rate, is $35 an hour for the people doing this stuff. So I'm going to press enter. Excuse me. And so we see it costs $1.46 to do this particular ski. However, you should be having your antenna going up saying, do not put real numbers into a formula. It's a bad practice. This number here, 35, should be referenced somewhere else on the worksheet, so that if you change the rate from 35 to some other rate, then you don't have to change every single formula. So we should be pointing at a cell. So before we do that, let's put it up here. Let's put $35 as the cost for labor. And then back to our formula down here, instead of 35 being in the formula, we're going to point at that cell. And there it is right there. It is E2. I click E2. I press enter, and then it's $1.46. And as you know, if I pull this down, it's not going to work, because if I pull it down, then the E2 will now be this one, etc., all the way down, right? So we have to nail down the 35 so it doesn't move with the pattern. Everything else is fine. We want the pattern to be moved as we pull the little nubby thing here, but we want E2 to be fixed. So I'm pressing F4, and that has it fixed. Now, if I pull this down now, you'll see that it creates all the various costs for the skis. You'll see that we have dollar signs here, which is bad practice. You should have a dollar sign only at the top of the column and not with the following numbers. But while it's here, I'm going to make sure it's highlighted. I'm going to go to home. I'm going to press comma to make it a dollar figure, and then I'll click on the first one and then dollarize that one, just like that. Alright, There's a variety of ways of doing the same thing, but while it's highlighted, you might as well just use that highlight for formatting. One of the formatting things I don't like here is it says $35, but you don't really get a sense as to what that is. You could put down per hour labor here, but the problem with that is it's outside the actual box. It's like sitting on its own on the right hand side here. I want that per hour here, this stuff here, right actually in the cell together with the 35, but it's not going to be text, it has to be number because we're using it down here for our calculations. So let's show you how to do that. I'm going to go up to the 35 here, and then I'm going to format this in a special way. I'm going to right click, go to format cells. Now it always takes a few seconds for that to show up the first time, and then it comes up pretty fast the next times after that. Go to custom down at the bottom here, and what we're going to look for here are these are all the custom types of formatting you can have. I'm going to choose one that has a $sign at the beginning. There we are. I'm going to get rid of all this stuff. We're not going to get into this stuff right now, but basically it says here if you have numbers, alright, so I'm going to put down any kind of number, any kind of cents, so that goes number. Alright, remember that with the wildcards kind of thing, and you'll see up where it shows the 35 as to what it might be depicted as. And then I'm going to press a space here. I'm going to press quotation, and now I'm going to put the text that indicates what the 35 is. So I'm going to put a per sign, hour, labor. Alright, quotations. And you'll see up at the top the depiction of what that cell is going to look like once we press OK. Alright, so the quotations, it's hard to see, it's kind of teeny weeny. Per hour labor, click OK, and there we go. So you'll see how that's now nicely notated. And if I change that to 45, right, if I wanted to change the hours to 45, it changes everything else, but it's still notated nicely. Alright, when you click on it, you'll just see 45. You won't see the quotations dollar per hour because that's built into the custom formatting. So there's a lot of neat stuff you can do up here with the formatting, but still use a number for your calculations. Let's change that back to 35. Okay. Alright, next thing. I want to go right down to the bottom, and I want to do the usual averages, total, and standard deviation, stuff that we're all very used to. And so I'm going to put down here total in terms of the columns above, the total number of minutes for the friction testing, colon. I'm going to do average cost, alright, the average cost or the average time for that testing, and then I'll do the standard deviation, alright, standard deviation, I'll put that for short here, standard deviation like that. So the spread of the numbers. Total. Now I've been telling you to minimize the amount of clicks that you do and to use the auto sum as much as you can. So I'm going to use the auto sum, and I'm going to show you why this is a mistake in this particular instance. So first of all, here we go, auto sum. It finds all the numbers and it press, oh wait a minute, maybe it didn't find all the numbers. We got the blue going on here. Let me go up. And watch the blue, watch the blue, watch the blue, watch the blue. And look where the blue stopped. Did not go all the way up to the top. Remember that a space or a piece of text inhibits the automatic selection of the range. Alright, so if you got long rows like that, long columns like that, and you see any kind of text or spaces in there, avoid the auto sum from this point up here, but do it manually. Okay, so let's I'm going to do that right now. Just going to back here, back, delete, and I'm going to scoop up as a human being, right? Sometimes we have to interfere with these computers here, right up to F4, close bracket, past the empty space there, and press enter. Alright, average, same thing. You can use the average over here as a drop down, this one right here, but again it will bump into the empty space, and that's a bad thing, right? You won't be getting all the numbers you need. So I'm doing average. I'm going to scoop it all up. I know you've seen this many times, so I'll just do it as fast as I can. Alright, close the brackets, enter, and then the last one, standard deviation, equals ST STD, and we're doing the single one. Okay, double click, scoop it, and obviously when we've done all this, we'll just pull over the little nubby, and then it'll be done for everybody. Okay, there's the standard deviation. I'm going to make this one significant digit after the 0, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to pull over the formulas, there we are, and then I'm going to pull this one over even like that, but I'm going to make this one 2 significant digits, just like that. Okay, so this gives you the average of the numbers above. The average cost of inspecting is $2.78, and I'm going to put a $sign here to notate that that little bunch of stuff is $signs. And notice I'm doing $signs for all of them here, because remember, this is the top of a row of numbers, but they're different notations as to what's going on. So you always put a $sign whenever it's different, when it changes to a different type of notation. Okay. All right. So $277 was spent to do all this. So one of the things I would like to do as a manager, I would like to find out what rate. I'm using $35 an hour, right? And it's costing me $277 for this. So there's this thing called GoalSeek. And what GoalSeek is it tries to find a number based on a goal. So let's say I only want to spend $225 for the overall inspection. The question is, what does the rate have to be to make this $225? All right, so the way you do that is you go to Data, What If Analysis, GoalSeek, and then it says, okay, a little dialog comes up. It says, okay, set cell E105, which is wiggling around and doing that. Set that cell to $225 by changing some other cell. All right, so click your mouse in that cell, the cell you want to change, well, the box to indicate where the cell's going, or what cell we'll be using, sorry. I want to use this one right here, the E2. Okay, so what have we got so far? Basically, we're telling the goal system, the goal feature, to change this number, or to seek a number 225, right? Seek a number 225 by changing the 35 to something else, so that the calculation ends up being $225. So let's see what happens when we click OK. Here we go. Watch the 227 here as we go. Maybe I'll pull this closer. All right, watch the 227 and watch the 35. Can you watch both at the same time? Here we go, and click OK. All right, it quickly, well, it's a computer, so it does it fast, right? So it quickly figures it out that $28 is needed to reach $225. All right, now I'm suspecting this $28 has probably got some cents in there and it's been rounded, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to cancel this. All right, I'm going to keep, and then I'm going to go up here. I'm going to check out my formatting. There's my formatting here, and I'm going to see how that formatting doesn't have a dollar, like a point in it, to indicate a point. So I'm going to go to the end here, and I'm going to point 0, 0. All right, press enter. What that does is it tells the system to put cents in there. All right, and then I'm going to stretch this out because we've got cents going on now. All right, and now I'm going to do the GoalSeek again. So down here, what if analysis, GoalSeek to value 225 by just changing cell E2. Off we go. All right, $28.36. All right, so you see how the formatting is now more explicit than the blanket 35. All right, let's now move on to the ski type, this part down here. And what I want to do is I want to do the count if that we did in the last video, but I want to do it in a little bit more refined way. I want to find the number of skis right here that are style A. Those skis are noted in this time worksheet, all the way from B4 all the way down to B103. All right, so let's do that. I'm going back to ski type, and we're going to do the count if again. All right, so you remember the count if, COUNT T if I count if. I'm now going to go to the range. The range is on another worksheet here. There's the range starting at B4. And I'm going to pull it all the way down to the end, and then I'm going to press comma, so it allows me to get to the other worksheet. Alright, pressing comma. Go to ski type, and tell me the number or A's. Close bracket, we should have 27. Alright, now let's do the same for the other ones. Okay, I'm going to nail down the ranges. This was a repeat from last video a little bit, and now I'm going to pull down that same situation. Alright, so there's 52 R's, 21 E's. Now let's do the averages. Now in this case, with this is a new one. We've used SUMIF, we've used COUNTIF. Now we're using something called AVERAGEIF, and you can imagine that it's much the same, right? It's basically adding up everything and dividing by the number of counts that it has. So I'm going to use the formula called equals AVERAGEIF. Okay, and again it comes back a lot like the SUMIF that we did in the previous video. Tell me the range, alright, that we're checking out. What is the criteria you want me to do? And then once you've told me I've figured out what you want to do, then I'm going to average it all. So we're going to find in the range on the B column in time all the A's. Once it finds them all, it's not going to count them, but it's going to count them in the background and then divide by 27, the number it found. So it's an averaging process. So we go back to time here. I'm going to start from the bottom, all right, rather than scroll up to the top and then down to the bottom. So all the way there, right? And then I'm going to press comma. And then I'm going back to ski type. And now I want to find the, tell it the specification. Remember, we can do that now. We point at a cell. Alright, and then we press comma, and then the averaging range, right? So what is it we're actually averaging? So I'm going back to time again, and we're going to basically choose the average time. Alright, so that's this one right here. Okay, so the average time for friction is this one. So we pull this down. Okay, so if you recall, we did this for dollars last time. This time we're doing it for time, but it's an averaging process. Click close here, and now we get $2 to 2 minutes and 4 seconds. The average friction test time for style A. Okay, we do the same thing with the trying to find the E averaging test time. So I'm going to nail down the ranges so they don't move with the pattern. There we go. Okay, then I pull this down. We do want the A type, A3, to move with the pattern because we want it to refer to E next time. So we pull this down and we should have those numbers. Right. Let's do the same thing with the average torsion. So we're doing an AVERAGEIF here. AVERAGEIF. Okay, we're going back to the range again. We're using this as our determining factor, so this is the B range, the B thing again. All right. We've determined the range. What is the criteria? The criteria is A, 2, 3, or the style A. Press a comma again, and then what do you want me to add up? If I find stuff, I want you to add up this range here, which is the testing time for torsion. Bring it all the way down, like that. Close the brackets, press enter. 4 minutes and 2 seconds. Nail down the ranges so they don't move. I hope you're getting tired of me saying that, because it should be natural now. If you don't have a handle on the dollar sign stuff and the absolutes and the things you have to nail down, then you're a little lost and you're going to be in trouble. Alright, so the average cost here is now going to be the averaging if one more time. So the AVERAGEIF. Again, we're going to do the range start from down at the bottom again because it's simpler. Alright. I'm going to comma it, tell the system what my specification is, or the criteria, which is there. Press comma, and what am I adding up now? I'm going to do my average and cost. So back to the time again, and since I'm up here, I'll do this one, bring it down, and we're almost done. Close the brackets, press enter, and you'll see it's $2.86 as the average cost. Now let me just see, my records say 3.53. Why would that be? Oh, I know why. Okay, because I haven't set it back to $35, which I should have. Okay, $35 is what I do, and then my checksum is 353. Yep, so I got that. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to pull that down. Nope, sorry, I forgot to nail down stuff. And F4, nail it down. Okay, and I'm going to pull this down and fix the dollar signs. Okay, don't want dollar signs here because it's the same type of data and we don't repeat them. Comma. One last thing, I'll fix up this little boundary, which is probably annoying some of you. Highlight the whole thing, go to the borders box here, and then I want to have let's have a thick outside border. Okay, and there we go. So that is that for level 3. Basically very simple. It's a repeat of basically levels 1 and 2 with a tiny little bit more sophistication. That is the end of chapter 2 and level 3. Onward and upwards.